Have you ever wondered about the origins of the infamous Count Dracula? In the shadowy depths of Gothic literature, a figure emerges, cloaked in darkness and shrouded in enigma. This is Count Dracula, a character whose very name sends chills down the spine, evoking images of moonlit nights, eerie castles, and blood-chilling horror. But how much do we truly know about this emblematic figure of fear? Count Dracula, the archetypal vampire, was birthed from the quill of Bram Stoker in his novel published in 1897. A character of such depth and intrigue, he was not born of mere whim or fancy. His creation was fueled by real-life events and individuals who, in their own way, were as captivating as the Count himself. In the heart of Transylvania, a land of myths and legends, the inspiration for Count Dracula took root. Here in the 15th century, a certain voivode, Vlad III, ruled with an iron fist. Known as Vlad the Impaler, his reign was tinged with tales of cruelty and bloodshed, his name striking fear into the hearts of his people. It is believed that this historical figure served as a touchstone for Stoker's creation. But the character of Dracula is more than just a reflection of a bloodthirsty ruler. He embodies the fears of an era, a time when superstition and science walked hand in hand, and the unknown was a source of both fascination and dread. Dracula is a symbol of the unknown, the alien, the other, a creature that defies nature and straddles the world of the living and the dead. So, as we delve deeper into the enigma of Count Dracula, we dive into a world of history, myth and fear. We explore the corners of human imagination where reality blurs into fiction and the ordinary becomes extraordinary. Stay tuned as we unravel the real-life events that inspired the creation of the most famous vampire in literature. Who was the man behind the legend of Count Dracula? Let's turn back the hands of time to the 15th century, to a land steeped in mystery and shrouded in darkness. Here we find the notorious ruler Vlad III, known to his subjects as Vlad the Impaler. His reign, as harsh as the Carpathian winters, would etch his name into the annals of history and kindle the ember of a legend that continues to burn brightly today. Born into the tumultuous world of Wallachia, a region caught in a tug-of-war between the Ottoman Empire and the Kingdom of Hungary, Vlad was a child of conflict. The stakes were high, and the game was survival. His moniker, Vlad the Impaler, was not a name given lightly. The ruler was infamous for his favoured method of execution, impalement, a grim spectacle of psychological warfare that left a lasting impression on friend and foe alike. Yet Vlad was not simply a tyrant. He was a man of his time, a ruler who used fear as a weapon, in an era when the scent of danger was as familiar as the morning dew. His rule was marked by a relentless pursuit of independence for his homeland, a mission that often put him at odds with the powerful forces that surrounded him. Bram Stoker, the creator of Count Dracula, found in Vlad a potent brew of horror and heroism, a dichotomy that would become the backbone of his immortal character. Stoker's Dracula, like Vlad, is a figure of terror, a creature that feeds off the lifeblood of others. Yet he is also a tragic figure, a prisoner of his own monstrous nature. The inspiration behind Count Dracula was not a fabrication of a writer's imagination, but a real figure who walked the earth, a man whose life was as entangled with death as the roots of an ancient oak in a forgotten graveyard. His name was Vlad, a ruthless ruler whose deeds still echo in the silent corridors of history. The inspiration behind Count Dracula was as chilling as the character himself. How did a 15th century ruler inspire the creation of literature's most famous vampire? This question takes us on a journey back to the heart of Bram Stoker's creative process and the birth of Count Dracula. In the late 19th century, Stoker stumbled upon the historical figure of Vlad the Impaler, a Wallachian ruler known for his brutal and bloodthirsty reign. Vlad's gruesome reputation, combined with the dark allure of Transylvanian folklore, ignited a spark in Stoker's literary imagination. But how did this historical figure, infamous for his cruelty, transform into the suave, sophisticated and terrifying Count Dracula we know today? Stoker was a meticulous researcher. He delved deep into Eastern European history and folklore, absorbing the tales of vampires that permeated the region's collective consciousness. He was particularly intrigued by the accounts of Vlad's sadistic tendencies. Vlad's preferred method of execution, impalement, earned him the moniker the Impaler. This, coupled with the fact that he was said to dine among his impaled victims, sipping wine as he enjoyed the macabre scene, certainly added a chilling aspect to his character. But Stoker didn't simply transplant Vlad into his novel. Instead, he took these elements and weaved them into the fabric of his character, Count Dracula. The result was a figure that was both a product of history and a creation of Stoker's own imagination. A figure that was as sophisticated as he was savage, as charming as he was chilling. The cultural context in which Stoker was writing also played a significant role in shaping his character. The late Victorian era was a time of rapid change and deep-seated anxieties. Advances in science were challenging long-held beliefs, and society was grappling with new ideas about life, death, and the supernatural. It was against this backdrop that Stoker introduced his immortal vampire, a character that embodied the fears and fascinations of his time. Bram Stoker's genius turned history into horror, creating a character that would haunt our nightmares for centuries. His Count Dracula, born out of the ashes of history and the anxieties of the Victorian era, remains one of literature's most enduring and terrifying creations. What is the enduring legacy of Count Dracula? Often draped in a cloak of shadows and mystery, the figure of Count Dracula has haunted our imaginations for well over a century. Emerging from the pages of Bram Stoker's 1897 novel, this notorious nocturnal predator has sunk his fangs into every corner of popular culture. In the realm of cinema, Count Dracula has been a recurring figure, each portrayal adding a new layer to his legend. From Bela Lugosi's hypnotic eyes in the 1931 film to Christopher Lee's embodiment of the Count in the Hammer horror series, Dracula has been a muse for filmmakers, captivating audiences with his chilling charm. His persona has varied from the suave aristocrat to the monstrous villain, but his allure remains undiminished. On the small screen, Count Dracula has also found a home. Television series like Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Penny Dreadful have incorporated Dracula into their narratives, revisiting and reimagining his character in the context of modern concerns and sensibilities. And who can forget the comic books and video games? From Marvel's Tomb of Dracula to the Castlevania series, the Count's influence has extended to these realms, his story continually evolving in the hands of creative artists and storytellers. So, why has Count Dracula remained so popular and influential? Perhaps it's the thrill of the unknown, the allure of immortality, or the seductive power of fear. Or maybe it's because Dracula embodies our fascination with the forbidden, the darkness that lurks in the corners of our psyche, the monster that we fear and yet are drawn to. Dracula's legacy is not just his own, but a reflection of our collective cultural psyche. He is a mirror that reflects our deepest fears, our wildest fantasies, and our complex relationship with the unknown. From the pages of a novel to the screens of cinemas worldwide, Count Dracula's reign of terror continues. What have we learned about the real events that inspired the creation of Count Dracula? Our journey through the shadowy corridors of history and fiction has unveiled the fascinating parallels between the life of the real-life figure Vlad the Impaler and the legendary Count Dracula. Bram Stoker, with his masterful storytelling, wove a rich tapestry of horror and suspense, drawing heavily from the brutal and bloodthirsty reign of Vlad. We delved into the birth of this enduring legend, tracing its roots back to the 15th century Wallachia and its infamous ruler. Vlad's cruel reign, marked by his penchant for impaling his enemies, provided the perfect macabre backdrop for Stoker's haunting tale. We saw how Stoker's narrative genius transformed this historical figure into a creature of the night, an immortal vampire with a thirst for human blood. This transformation from history to horror gave birth to one of literature's most iconic characters. As we journeyed through the legacy of Count Dracula, we observed how this character has sunk its fangs into popular culture. From movies and television series to books and comics, The Count's hypnotic gaze and chilling presence have left an indelible mark. But why does this character continue to fascinate us? Perhaps it is the allure of the unknown, the thrill of the forbidden, and the seductive power of immortality. Or maybe it's the fear of the darkness that lurks within all of us, waiting for the right moment to strike. As we reflect on the enduring appeal and influence of Count Dracula, we must also acknowledge the power of storytelling. It's through Stoker's vivid imagination and skillful writing that a historical figure metamorphosed into a symbol of horror, captivating readers and audiences for over a century. In the world of horror, few figures loom as large as Count Dracula, a testament to the power of a single story to captivate our collective imagination.